In today's world of rapidly developing technology, owning a smartphone is an absolute must. And almost everyone knows what an iPhone is. What does the word iPhone bring to your mind, though? Well, for most of you guys, and for me, it's Apple, the company, not the fruit. This clarification was necessary, or at least I think so. In 2018, Apple became the first trillion-dollar company, and as of now, Apple has hit the $2 trillion mark. This is a huge milestone in the world of business, since these are milestones that have never been set before. Today, I am going to narrate the journey of success that took this company from an average garage in California to becoming a behemoth in the business world and a pioneering leader in the global technology sector. No company even comes close to Apple's success, and at the rate they're going, perhaps no company ever will, at least not in the foreseeable future. No mention of Apple can ever be complete without mention of its founder, Steve Jobs. Steve was born on February 24, 1955 in California to a teenage mother who had to give the little boy up for adoption due to obvious financial and social constraints that a parent in such circumstances faces. The baby was adopted by Carla and Paul Jobs, a middle-class couple who, despite financial problems, tried to fulfill every need of the baby. From a very young age, Steve Jobs was fascinated by the power and intricacy of computers. What kick-started his love for machines was the family garage of his father, who was a mechanic. It is in this very garage that Apple took birth. Steve loved to take apart and put together cars, and his father had taught him to pay attention to detail, a mantra that Steve would later apply to Apple. A child prodigy at the age of 12, Steve called Bill Hewlett, the founder of Hewlett-Packard, to ask him for electronic parts for his school project. Impressed by the boy's intelligence as well as confidence, HP offered him a summer internship where Jobs met Steve Wozniak. This meeting further cemented Steve's long-standing passion for technology. After graduating from high school, Steve Jobs enrolled at Reed College. However, he dropped out after just one semester and only took classes that he enjoyed. It really is fascinating how things are always a little off track for those that are destined to make it big, so keep your hopes up, people. Anyways, one such class was about calligraphy. This course formed the basis for the design in Apple keyboards and MacBook. Every morning, Jobs stood in front of a mirror and asked himself one question. If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do? If the answer was no, too many times, then Steve knew he had to change something. However, the most massive change came when Steve Jobs met a fellow challenged soul, Steve Wozniak. Both Steves motivated each other to strive for success, and one fateful summer, they locked themselves in the Jobs family garage and started making every ridiculous invention they could think of. One of their first inventions was the Blue Box. This piece of technology allowed users to make long-distance calls for free. The success of this project motivated them to take their innovations to big companies. This was the beginning of the first actual Apple computer. In early 1976, Wozniak and Jobs started Apple in the Jobs family garage with an initial investment of only $1,300, about the same amount it cost for us to buy the latest iPhone nowadays. This is as big a return on investment as I personally have ever seen. Later, after having shown potential, the two partners were able to secure an additional investment of $250,000 from former Intel executive A.C. Markula. Wozniak took over the technical half while Jobs worked on marketing the original Apple I computer. In April 1977, Jobs and Wozniak introduced Apple II at the West Coast Computer Fair in San Francisco, which created a sensation in the tech world. What they had to offer seemed really promising to everyone who came across them. The company was excelling so rapidly that, before they knew it, it went public in 1981, whilst its sales jumped from the initial $2 million in 1977 to $600 million. By 1983, Apple was in the Fortune 500, a massive achievement for any new firm. In 1981, Jobs joined a small group of Apple engineers to pursue a separate project, a lower-cost system codenamed Macintosh, which was introduced in January 1984. It was the first successful personal computer to feature a graphical user interface, built-in screen, and mouse. Honestly, these things might seem very basic to most people these days. That is enough to state how revolutionary this innovation was. Jobs recruited Scully, a former Pepsi-Cola chief executive, and together these two were able to introduce several new computer models, including advanced versions of Apple II and later the Lisa and Macintosh. However, soon controversy followed as Apple went into debt following the disappointing sales of the Lisa, after which the Apple board removed Jobs from his operational role, along with 1,200 employees who were laid off. Disheartened, Steve Jobs left Apple, and the company's fortunes declined following rising competition from other companies, especially Microsoft in the 90s. In 1996, the then CEO Gil Amelio decided to buy Next, a computer startup started by an exiled Jobs to bring some much-needed direction to the company. However, Jobs staged a boardroom coup that ended in Amelio's resignation, and Jobs reinstated in the driving seat of the company. The situation was so dire that Jobs had to take money from Microsoft, and in 1998 Dell's CEO had commented that Apple should just close and return all the money to its shareholders. But Steve Jobs was relentless, and his hard work and business sense took Apple to new heights. Steve focused his attention and that of the company on selling specific products rather than the diverse portfolio that the company had begun to work on, as he believed in quality over quantity. Jobs launched the iMac with a strong marketing campaign featuring the "Think Different" slogan. The iMac stood out due to its beauty and design, a theme that has allowed Apple to continuously dominate the tech world. The iMac was just the beginning of a series of hit products for Apple, such as the iPod, which became the category killer in MP3 players, and the iPhone, which launched in 2007 and would later go on to dominate the smartphone market with a share of around 23.4% in 2020 alone. Other products like the MacBook or the once famous iPod had already solidified Apple's place in the market. Apple built an entire ecosystem around its products, and as the first big mover into many markets, Apple built the stadium and set the rules for the game. Apple brought innovations with all its merchandise. In addition to allowing users to transfer MP3s onto iPods, Apple allowed users to buy individual songs for a fraction of the whole album's price. The same was the case with the software. Many popular computer functions could be done on Apple's mobile devices using apps from Apple's App Store. So, as you can see, they connected all of their products, so if you use one item, you are more and more inclined to buy other Apple products as well. Following the loss of Steve Jobs in 2011 to pancreatic cancer, the company continued to thrive under the leadership of Tim Cook. Although the competitors are catching up, the company to date remains a symbol of quality and innovation. The success of Apple can be seen from the simple fact that there is a fairly good chance that you are viewing this video either on an Apple device or with one near you. You might have just glanced at your new Apple Watch, or you might be hearing my voice through your new AirPods. The simple fact is, Apple produces beautiful, quality products that are user-friendly and easy to use, and this has allowed the company to remain one step ahead of all its competitors. Hope you guys liked this video. Hit the thumbs up button to show you support and do comment. Oh, and yes, do not forget to hit the subscribe button to receive similar content directly to your feeds. Also, hit the bell icon to receive instant updates.